Backstage buzz pulsed with electricity as George Strait stood alone, hidden behind heavy velvet curtains. Outside, the crowd roared, a sold-out sea of faces eager for the legendary singer they cherished. Yet, a sense of unease wrapped around him like a heavy cloak. The anticipation was supposed to invigorate him, but instead, it deepened his silence. Clutching his well-worn guitar, he sensed the weight of expectation pressing down, a familiar burden that had come to overshadow his joy. As the curtains parted, George stepped into the spotlight, greeted by an explosion of cheers. He raised a hand, forcing a smile, but the connection felt distant. Each familiar chord he played struck a note of discomfort. Once, he had poured his heart into these songs. Now they felt like hollow echoes. The lyrics flowed from his lips, but the emotional resonance seemed to slip away, evaporating into the air. He finished the set to applause that felt muted, a hollow sound echoing against the walls of his heart. Disoriented, George retreated to the wings, weighed down by a profound sense of loss. What had once brought him joy now felt heavy and burdensome. He wandered the dimly lit corridors, his mind swirling with questions. Was he still the artist he once was? Could he find that spark again? Seeking solace, he stumbled into a small bar a few blocks away. The atmosphere buzzed with life, filled with laughter, clinking glasses, and the familiar scent of whiskey. Here he found respite from the weight of fame. No one expected him to be a legend. He could simply be George. Then, the music caught his ear and halted his thoughts. A young woman stood on stage, her wild curls bouncing as she sang with fierce passion. Sofia Martinez poured her soul into each note, a raw authenticity that struck a chord deep within him. Her voice radiated energy, weaving stories filled with longing and hope. George felt the flickers of inspiration he thought lost begin to stir. As her song ended, Sofia noticed him in the crowd. She approached, a blend of admiration and trepidation lighting her eyes. "You're George Strait, right? I've grown up listening to your music," she said, her voice filled with wonder. He nodded, a smile breaking through his contemplative exterior. "So you have a powerful voice," he replied, sincerity in his tone. "Thanks. I'm just trying to find my way singing in bars like this, but it feels real, you know?" George met her gaze, struck by the earnestness in her words. "That's what music is about, the real feeling behind it," he murmured, nostalgia washing over him. Their conversation flowed effortlessly, sparking a connection that pulled at George's buried dreams. In her fire, he glimpsed the artist he used to be, and the stirrings of hope began to swell once more. Tonight, in the warmth of the bar, he sensed the dormant embers of inspiration ignite, a whisper telling him that perhaps it wasn't too late to reclaim the melody of his heart. In that moment, George didn't just witness a raw talent. He felt the promise of renewal and the potential for a shared journey, unaware of how profoundly their lives would intertwine as they both sought the essence of authenticity in their music. George awoke the next morning to the soft luminescence of dawn filtering through his window, a gentle reminder of the journey yet to unfold. His thoughts drifted back to Sofia, her voice still resonating in his mind like a favorite melody. He had left the bar with a flicker of hope stirring within him. Somehow, she had reignited a yearning he thought had vanished. As he sat on his porch, coffee steaming in hand, the familiar sounds of the Texas countryside wrapped around him, the rustling leaves, the distant call of a mockingbird, and the warm morning sun kissing his skin. He often found solace in these moments, where memories could surface without edit or reproach. And today, they flooded in like an unrelenting tide. Flashbacks cascaded over him, merging sunlight and shadow. He vividly recalled performances at his father's small country store, singing for neighbors who gathered round under the sprawling oak tree. Laughter mingled with the rhythmic strumming of his old guitar, his simple joy of music blending with the sweet sounds of family love. Those nights had been flush with dreams and authenticity, a time when every chord struck resonated with the beat of his heart. From there, his journey into the music industry had been an upward climb. Early gigs with his friends, late-night jam sessions filled with hope and bottles of beer, crafted the raw spirit of his artistry. The laughter, the dreams, the camaraderie, they were all stitched together in the fabric of his soul. Yet somewhere in the climb to stardom, the simple joy of creating had morphed into an urgency for validation, a desperate need for approval. But as he ventured deeper into the memories, he saw the finest threads of his artistry intertwine with his family's unwavering support. His mother, with her gentle sweetness, always encouraged him to follow his heart. "Music is in your blood, George," she used to say with a smile that lit up her face. "Let it guide you." Those words echoed like an enchanted lullaby, each note striking deeper as he remembered seeing the pride in his father's eyes during his first television performance. It had been a whirlwind of flashing lights and manic energy, but when he glanced at his dad in the audience, he found calmness amid the chaos. The love and authenticity he'd shared with his family shaped who he was, igniting the fire that launched his career. Yet now he felt unmoored, drifting further away from that essence that had once defined him. The unmistakable call of nostalgia mingled with a newfound resolve. Maybe Sophia could help guide him back to his roots, to explore the melodies that felt truer to his heart. As thoughts swirled, a knock came at the door. It was Lila, his steadfast wife, stepping in with the warmth of the morning sun trailing behind her. Her presence filled the room, and George felt a sense of comfort envelop him. She pulled up a chair, her understanding eyes searching his face for answers. "I heard about your night out," Lila began, concern written across her features. "You seemed lost when you left the stage. I just want to make sure you're okay." George hesitated, the weight of his discontent heavy on his tongue. "I'm just trying to find my way again, Lila," he finally admitted. "I met a young singer last night. She reminded me of what music used to mean for me, the real honesty and passion." Lila nodded, her brow furrowing in thought. "George, maybe it's time to explore that feeling. Get back to the roots, your roots. Remember why you started." Her words struck like a tuning fork within him. "The roots," he echoed, understanding that this was the essence he had lost along the way. "I've been so focused on fame that I've forgotten what it was all about." "Then go," she encouraged gently. "Connect with this Sophia. Revisit those early days of creating music. There's a beauty in that exploration." As the morning wore on, George couldn't shake the urge to reach out to Sophia. He wanted to feel the music again, to kindle the fires of creativity. Later that day, unsure yet resolute, he found himself at a coffee shop nearby, where he hoped she might perform again. As he entered, the familiar scent of freshly brewed coffee filled the air, mingling with soft melodies resonating from the small stage. His heart raced. There she was, Sophia, her vibrant energy captivating the small audience. He leaned against the wall, watching intently as she sang songs that pierced through the chaos of his thoughts. Her voice was sharp and sweet, filled with an authenticity he desperately craved. This time, seeing her with fresh eyes, he noted not just her talent, but the raw soul behind it. After her set, he stepped forward, heart pounding as he caught her attention. "Sophia!" he called out, his voice a mix of excitement and apprehension. She turned, a smile blooming on her face as she recognized him. "George, I didn't think I'd see you again so soon." "I've been thinking about your music. It inspired me more than I expected," he admitted, the sincerity spilling forth. Her eyes sparkled with curiosity. "Really? What are your thoughts?" "I want to explore those roots again," he confessed. "I'd like to collaborate, see where our music might take us. You've got a raw sound that feels real, and I want to dive into that authenticity." Sophia's face lit up with surprise and joy. "I'd love that. Let's create something together. I believe we can make magic happen." With those words exchanged, George felt the tides begin to shift. Together, they would embark on a journey of rediscovery, one that promised to reconnect him with the very essence of music, the melodies that spoke of truth, love, and heart. In that moment, he realized he was no longer just living in the shadows of his past. He was ready to embrace the future with open arms. The next days transformed into a vibrant dance of creativity for George and Sophia. They met in a quaint coffee shop, huddled together at a table scattered with notebooks, steaming mugs, and unyielding passion. With each passing moment, a magnetic synergy resonated between them, a powerful connection fueled by their shared love for music. Sophia unveiled her eclectic repertoire, songs filled with raw emotion and authentic storytelling. Each melody acted like an elixir, revitalizing George's spirit. "Music stitches our wounds," she said one day, guitar in hand, her voice laced with conviction. "It captures pain and turns it into beauty." George found solace in her words, reflecting on the heartache he had buried. As they wove their creations together, he realized that the echoes of nostalgia grew louder. Intermingling their tales, his voice whispered childhood memories, and her experiences vibrated with youthful ambition. Together, they formed a beautiful tapestry of sound, merging years of lived experiences into a new, vibrant creation. One sunny afternoon, while soaking in the warmth outside the shop, George suggested, "Let's write a song that reaches back to our roots, something that speaks to where we both came from." Sophia's enthusiasm was immediate. "Yes, we can tell a story that bridges our backgrounds and our journeys." As they brainstormed, George shared cherished memories of his father, long afternoons spent under the oak tree during family gatherings, where laughter and music intertwined. "He taught me that songs could lift the heaviest burdens and connect people," he remembered, his voice tinged with longing. Sophia listened intently, her eyes glistening with understanding. "Let's capture that feeling. The innocence, the love. Let's create something that speaks to that universal longing." As they crafted lyrics and melodies, their creative spirits intertwined. George felt a transformation brewing within, as if pieces of his past were reawakening under Sophia's bright light. Moments of frustration emerged during their collaboration, contrasting their distinct styles. Yet, each clash birthed a deeper connection, a blossoming understanding of each other's artistic visions. As their song took shape, excitement bubbled within them. The time approached to share their creation beyond the four walls of the coffee shop. They began to plan a small performance, an intimate showcase at the very venue where their bond had begun. The night of the performance arrived, tables rearranged, the atmosphere buzzed with laughter and whispers. Friends, familiar faces, and curious patrons filled the coffee shop. George felt his nerves kick up for the first time in years as he glanced at Sophia. Their eyes met, a shared spark of anticipation lighting a fire between them. Regardless of the outcome, they were about to embark on a new chapter. With instruments in hand, they climbed onto the makeshift stage. The area grew silent, anticipation thick in the air. George set his guitar across his lap and took a deep breath. As they began to play, harmonizing seamlessly, the lyrics danced around the room, inviting listeners into their world, a tale of nostalgia, longing, and connection. The audience swayed, immersed in the rich tapestry of sounds they had woven together. The song flowed like a river, full of emotion, eliciting smiles and glistening eyes. In that moment, George felt every note resonate deep within, a reaffirmation of purpose and belonging. As they finished, the crowd erupted in applause, a wave of appreciation and joy that washed over George like warm sunshine. His heart swelled. This moment, this connection, was everything he had hoped for and more. Backstage, exhilarated and breathless, he turned to Sophia, gratitude saturating his voice. "Thank you for believing in me, for breathing life into this piece of my heart." She beamed with pride. "We did this together, George. We invited the music back into our lives." They packed up their instruments, a newfound sense of hope surrounding them. As they left the coffee shop, George understood that their collaboration was merely the beginning. Together, they had rekindled not just a passion for music, but also a deep sense of purpose and authenticity. From that night on, the journey grew richer, littered with the promise of new melodies, stories waiting to be told, and hopes for the future threading through their veins like a vibrant tune waiting to be sung. The following weeks unfolded as a montage of creativity, laughter, and empathy. George and Sophia's collaboration blossomed, drawing in deeper elements of their lives, enriching their music and their bond. They spent long hours at the coffee shop, but also ventured out to fields and parks, where the open sky inspired them to experiment with their melodies. The music became an extension of their souls, ebbing and flowing with the rise and fall of their emotions. As the leaves turned gold and crimson with the arrival of autumn, George felt a profound shift within himself. It wasn't just about rediscovering the music he loved, it was about rediscovering who he was. He'd begun to reclaim the pieces of himself he thought he had lost to the whims of fame and fortune. Every time he picked up his guitar, it felt like a homecoming. The songs they had created together rang with truth, echoing the authenticity each had long sought. One brisk afternoon, while sitting on a blanket beneath an oak tree, a soft breeze nudged the leaves, carrying with it a sense of tranquility. George strummed a few chords, setting the atmosphere. "What if we wrote a song about second chances?" he suggested, the idea rolling off his tongue. Sophia pondered for a moment, her fingers grazing the strings gently. "That's beautiful," she agreed, warmth radiating from her smile. "Everyone needs a second chance at something. Love, music, life. It's a universal need. With newfound determination, they began to weave together their thoughts and feelings into a heartfelt ballad. It became a testament to their journeys, George's struggles with his past, and Sophia's courage to push through the barriers of doubt in pursuit of her dreams. Inspired by the melodies of their laughter, they found their creativity deepening, exploring how life's detours had ultimately shaped their paths. In the midst of their blossoming partnership, moments of vulnerability surfaced. One evening, as they lingered over coffee, George shared memories of the turbulent years he had faced in the industry. At one point, "I forgot why I started. I lost myself chasing after accolades, losing sight of what really mattered, the love of music and the ability to connect with people." Sophia listened intently, her expression gentle. "It's easy to lose sight of that when the world expects so much from you. But look at how far you've come now. You're reclaiming your spirit, and it's inspiring." Her words lingered, a soothing balm for wounds he'd kept hidden. He felt understood, the weight of his struggles lessened by her acceptance. "I can't thank you enough, Sophia," he said, sincerity lining his voice. "You helped me see that it's never too late to start over." One evening, as they rehearsed their new song beneath a brilliant sunset, the twinkling stars began to sprinkle the sky. George's hands moved deftly over the guitar's strings, pouring his heart into each note. By the time they reached the final chord, a beautiful silence enveloped the space, heavy with emotion. "That," Sophia breathed, her eyes shimmering in the twilight, "is going to touch so many people. It's everything we wanted to say." With every song they wrote, George felt life rekindling in him, igniting the passions and dreams he thought had long since dimmed. The spark of creativity gradually flickered, fueled by their shared ambitions. Each note became a testament to resilience and rebirth, a celebration of their journeys through estrangement and self-discovery. But even as their collaboration flourished, shadows of doubt lingered. George often found himself wrestling with insecurity. "What if the world doesn't accept me anymore?" he confessed one evening, vulnerability washing over him. Sophia placed a reassuring hand on his. "You're not defined by who you were, George, but by who you're becoming. Don't let fear hold you back." Encouraged by her steady resolve, George decided it was time to step back into the light. The thought of sharing his new music with a wider audience invigorated him. "I want to perform again, not just for validation, but to show that I'm here and I'm ready for this journey." With Sophia at his side, they began planning a small concert that would feature their collaboration. They reached out to local venues, hoping to find a place where they could share their heartfelt songs, a showcase of their journey and growth. The excitement built, though so did the anxiety. As the concert day approached, George could feel his nerves rising. But there was something different this time. He wasn't diving into it alone. Sophia, people who believed in him and the spirit of the music surrounded him like a protective veil. The night of the show arrived, and the venue buzzed with energy. Friends, family, and some familiar faces from the coffee shop gathered, their anticipation palpable. George took a moment backstage, the weight of the moment pressing on him. "Look around," Sophia whispered, pointing at the crowd. "These people care about you, and they're here for your music. It's time, George." Heart racing, he stepped into the spotlight. The warmth of the stage light soothed his apprehensions, and as he felt the embrace of the audience, he began to strum his guitar. The moment he opened his mouth to sing, he delivered not just notes, but pieces of his soul, pouring every ounce of honesty and hope into each lyric. With each song, he shared fragments of his life, pain, joy, and the promise of rebirth. As the final song concluded, the crowd erupted in applause, the cheers washing over him like a roaring river. George felt the emotional weight lift away, replaced by elation, connection, and pure gratitude. This was representation of everything: resilience, friendship, and the fierce beauty of laying his heart bare for all to see. In that singular moment, as he basked in the audience's adoration, George understood. He was finally home. In the weeks following the concert, George found himself on a roller coaster of emotions. The exhilaration of performance lingered, but the aftershocks of vulnerability echoed loudly within him. Each day brought new inspiration, yet there was also a nagging thread of fear woven through his joy. Would he be able to sustain this renewed version of himself? Was this profound connection with music and his audience merely a fleeting moment? Sophia noticed the subtle shifts in him, the way he would sometimes stare out into the distance, lost in thought. During their next songwriting session at the coffee shop, she decided to address it. "You seem a bit off today. What's going on in that head of yours?" Her voice was a gentle invitation, the trust between them evident. George set his coffee cup down, his fingers brushing the rim. "I guess I'm wrestling with the idea that this might not last. Like maybe I'm meant to slip back into shadows. I don't want to go there again," he admitted, his voice trembling slightly, revealing a crack in his otherwise sturdy facade. Sophia leaned closer, her gaze steady. "You don't have to face those shadows alone anymore, George. You've created something real, something powerful. Our music connects us, and you have people who care about you. It's okay to be scared, but don't let fear hold you back. You are meant to shine." Her words struck a familiar chord deep within him. They were a reminder of the strength he had been rediscovering, a reminder that every scar still bore a story worth telling. Encouraged by her unwavering support, George began to articulate his fears, each word unraveling decades of doubt and uncertainty. "Every time I think I've shattered the silence, I wonder if it'll stay broken or if I'll just fall back again. It's hard to imagine this feeling lasting." He looked into her eyes and saw understanding reflected back. "But isn't that part of the journey? Living in between those moments, learning from them? Every decision brings growth, and that will fuel your art." With newfound resolve, George embraced his journey with Sophia and began to pour those fears, hopes, and uncertainties into their music. They wrote with raw honesty, each song a testament to the complexities of being human, woven from the fabric of real emotions. They delved into themes of redemption, healing, and love, crafting melodies intertwined with truth and authenticity. As they recorded their songs in a small studio, anonymously at first, George discovered a profound sense of liberation. Hours melted away as they immersed themselves in the music, exploring new sounds and instrumentation. The quiet elegance of a soft piano mixed with the warm twang of his guitar, stitching a tapestry filled with heartfelt narratives. Then, with exhilaration bubbling over, they decided to release their first single online. It was a risk, vulnerable, yet intoxicating. The moment they hit publish, a sense of exhilaration mingled with fear swept through George. "What if they don't get it?" he murmured, anxiety creeping back in. Sophia, whose own journey had led her to embrace every risk, smiled brightly at him. "Then we'll keep building, keep growing. We're in this together, George. Trust the music." As the days passed and the single garnered attention, George found himself surprised by the wave of support that flooded in through social media. A chorus of listeners who resonated with their journey unfolded. Countless messages poured in, thanking him and Sophia for their honesty, for their authenticity. George began to feel the stinging warmth of hope rise once again, but with that hope also came backlash. In the same breath of encouragement, criticism found its way to him, echoing Graham's words from before. "Can you really be who you were?" The comments on social media ranged from appreciative to harsh and unyielding. He was told by those who had once idolized him that he was a has-been, that he no longer had a place in the music world. The sting of criticism cut deeper than he anticipated. One evening, George stormed into the coffee shop where they usually met, the pulse of frustration palpable. "It's like they want to keep me in a box, like the old George was all they ever wanted," he exclaimed, clenching his fists. "I can't be that person anymore." Sophia regarded him with unwavering support. "But you're not trying to be that person. This is a new chapter. It's not about them. It's about you and what you want to express. People will always have their opinions. What matters is that we stay true to our journey." Her calm demeanor rekindled his resolve. Rather than allowing the negativity to overshadow his newfound light, George channeled that fire into his music. He poured his heart into their next creation, a powerful anthem that would challenge the critics and express his determination to carve his own path. As they recorded this new song, the lyrics flowed like a river, rich with defiance. It spoke of standing tall, embracing identity, and breaking through the barriers of self-doubt. This time George could feel every note resonate within him, a liberating fusion of emotions and strength. When the single was released, it hit hard. The blend of vulnerability and grit struck a chord, resonating deeper than any other. Listeners championed its authenticity, and soon it spread like wildfire. George was embraced not just by fans, but by a community who recognized his resilience and saw the beauty in his evolution. Basking in the impact of their music, George realized the journey transcended the criticism. It was about forming connections, reshaping identities and standing together against the tides of doubt. Each song was a new chapter, telling a story of rebirth, and for the first time in a long while he understood he was not just living in the echoes of his past, he was reshaping his future. As his bond with Sophia deepened, their music became a testament to their shared journeys of healing and growth. Together they stood tall, ready to shine against the backdrop of adversity, confident that whatever may come, they would face it hand in hand. As the months rolled on, George and Sophia's bond deepened, rooted in friendship and creative synergy. Each performance brought them closer, transforming their connection into an artistic partnership that transcended mere entertainment. They had become storytellers, crafters of a new narrative woven from the threads of their lives. Their music drew people together in unexpected ways. Every concert transformed into a gathering filled with conversations and shared experiences, where fans returned night after night, fueled by the raw energy permeating the air. The once familiar faces from the cafe now filled the audience, their excitement reminding George of their humble beginnings. One evening, after another electrifying show, George basked in the afterglow, the reverberations of the crowd still pulsing in his veins. "Can you believe where we are now?" he said, beaming with pride. Sophia smiled, her eyes sparkled with passion. "It's incredible, George. We're not just singing, we're creating something that resonates with people." Amid this elation, George felt the weight of uncertainty creeping back in. But what if it all disappears? What if this is just a fleeting moment? Doubt darkened his brow, carrying the remnants of his past insecurities. Sophia leaned closer, her voice steady and reassuring. "Every journey has its own challenges. It's natural to fear the future, but we're not alone in this. You're not defined by your past. Your music tells a different story now." Reinvigorated by her words, George channeled his uncertainties into new songs, fully committed to their collaborative spirit. They began crafting a powerful anthem aimed at their critics, one that articulated their determination to forge new paths and stand firm in their beliefs. In the studio, the lyrics flowed from both of them, rich with defiance and determination. Each refrain spoke of resilience, breaking through the barriers of self-doubt. As they recorded, George could feel the music ignite internally, stirring emotions that had long lain dormant. When it was released, the single hit hard, striking a chord in the hearts of supporters. Listeners championed its authenticity, and the song spread quickly, igniting excitement throughout the community. George felt embraced not just by fans, but by a network that recognized the deep well of creativity and resilience within him. As he reveled in the impact of their work, George realized the journey extended beyond individual success. It was about forging meaningful connections, embracing identities and standing together against doubt. No longer trapped in the shadows of his past, he stepped into the light of new possibilities. Emboldened by their shared experiences, George and Sophia brainstormed ways to give back to the community that had supported them. "What if we organized benefit concerts?" he proposed one afternoon, inspiration fueling his enthusiasm. "Using our music to help those who are struggling?" "Yes," Sophia responded, her excitement evident. "It's a beautiful way to blend music with a mission of support." They quickly set to work planning a concert at the local community center, a venue that resonated with their roots and held sentimental value. Excitement built as they spread the word through social media, inviting not only their fans, but also those needing a sense of connection. On the night of the event, they were met with an enthusiastic crowd. Families, friends, and individuals seeking solace filled the space, their energy crackling like electricity in the air. George surveyed the gathered faces, his heart swelling with pride. "This feels different," he said to Sophia, a wave of anticipation rushing through him. "We're more than just performers tonight. We're sharing real stories." As they took the stage, the warmth of the audience enveloped them. Song after song resonated, each melody intertwining with the raw emotions that defined their narratives. George connected deeply with the faces in the crowd, their shared experiences reflecting in smiles and tears. After the concert, people lingered, mingling and sharing their own stories. Among them was a young girl who approached George, her hesitance countered by genuine awe. "I loved your song," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "It made me feel like I'm not alone." Kneeling to her level, George spoke softly. Thank you for sharing that with me. Remember, your feelings matter too. They're part of your story. As the night unfolded, George felt a bond with the community grow stronger, realizing their music had become a beacon for those feeling lost. When Sophia finally caught his eye amid the bustling crowd, they exchanged a knowing smile, the weight of the evening's significance washing over them. "We did it, George," Sophia exclaimed, her eyes gleaming with excitement. "This is just the beginning." Yet even as they celebrated, George grappled with the familiar shadows of self-doubt. One quiet night, lying awake, uncertainty loomed above him. What if their success was merely temporary? Would he betray the trust invested in him by those who believed in his music? Restless, he picked up his guitar, letting the soft strumming ground him. As he played, the notes merged with his thoughts. Through these melodies, he acknowledged his fears, understanding the inherently unpredictable nature of their journey. When they met the next day to discuss their upcoming plans, he confessed, "Sometimes I feel myself questioning if I'm doing enough. What if I disappoint everyone?" Sophia regarded him with empathy. "That's part of being human, George. What matters is how we respond to those doubts. Acknowledge them, but don't let them dictate your journey." Rejuvenated by her support, George began to grasp a core truth. Their journey was not just about achieving success, it was about authenticity, embracing vulnerability, and transforming it into something powerful. Every performance, every chord, each was a building block of their shared experience. Together they strived to carve out a brighter future, connecting through music and healing alongside one another. George felt a warm sense of purpose swell within him, recognizing that new beginnings awaited, filled with immeasurable possibilities. Poised to embark on the next chapter of their journey, he and Sophia faced whatever challenges may arise with open hearts, ready to embrace each moment as they created a legacy stitched from resilience and hope. As the months passed, George and Sophia's journey flourished, their music transforming into a profound exploration of shared experiences. Each new song became a reflection of resilience, capturing the nuanced emotions that had intertwined their lives. The excitement of creating their next album pulsed through them like a heartbeat, urging them to dig deeper into the stories that surrounded them. One sunny morning, they settled on the porch of Sophia's family home, the Texas sun warm on their skin. "Let's focus on the stories that resonate with our community," Sophia suggested, her enthusiasm infectious. "We can give voice to those who feel unheard." George felt a spark ignite within him. "What about the stories from our fans?" he pondered. "We could weave in their struggles and triumphs to showcase the power of resilience." Over the next few weeks, they gathered stories from fans, each sharing their trials, victories, and the parts of life that left a mark. One story in particular struck George's heart, the tale of a veteran struggling to reintegrate into civilian life. Inspired, he began working on a song that encapsulated the essence of hope amid despair, blending heartfelt lyrics with an uplifting melody. Their recording sessions became a sanctuary of creativity and vulnerability. With each song, they didn't just capture their journeys. They transformed collective experiences into heartfelt expressions of human connection. The emotional weight behind the stories guided their creativity, creating music that resonated deeply. As they prepared for the album launch, anticipation filled the air. They chose a picturesque amphitheater surrounded by wildflower fields, setting the stage for a night that promised to be truly special. On opening night, backstage, George paced, anxiety knotting his stomach. "What if they don't connect with us this time?" he fretted. Sophia placed a calming hand on his shoulder. "Remember our mission. It's not just about us. We're sharing stories that matter. Trust that connection." As the lights dimmed, George felt the atmosphere shift. Stepping onto the stage, he was greeted by a sea of eager faces. With the first strum of his guitar, the air thickened with anticipation. The opening song, born from the veteran's story, flowed effortlessly as the audience absorbed every note, tears glistening with recognition. The concert blossomed into an emotional tapestry, an experience uniting everyone present. The connection was palpable, transcending mere performance. It was a celebration of resilience and shared humanity. "Thank you for embracing these stories," George spoke into the microphone, his voice steady. "Tonight is about all of us, rising together." Their final song, an anthem of hope, echoed through the amphitheater, inviting the audience to join in the chorus. The words wove a powerful narrative of strength, encouraging everyone to embrace their truths. In that moment, George realized the profound impact of their music. It was more than sound, it was a movement of compassion and community. After the concert, a line formed with fans eager to share their appreciation. Among them stood the veteran who inspired George's song, tears streaming as he stepped forward. "Thank you for giving me hope," he said, embracing George tightly. "Your story is what fueled this," George replied, feeling the weight of gratitude lift from his shoulders. As they packed up, Sophia turned to him, glowing with post-performance excitement. "Tonight was a turning point. We've created something special together." George nodded, the pulse of the evening still resonating within him. "And this is just the start. We have so many more stories to tell and lives to touch." They stood resolute, ready to embrace the future, confident that their music would continue to be a source of inspiration. With hearts full of purpose, George and Sophia looked toward the horizon, eager to navigate the many possibilities awaiting them. They felt liberated and connected, poised to step forward with one unwavering belief. Through music, they would illuminate paths of hope, one song at a time.